gentlemen, the following presentation is brought to you by Mr. Main Event Brian Waters and the real Dwayne Allen. The Wrestling Wrealm, the show for the intelligent wrestling fans. Off the top rope, I dwell in the wrestling realm. Like Jake stay in the snake pit and Kane be in hell. Like Taker stay in the graveyard and Punk in the shy. Call me Snooker cause I'm super and fly. You can hate all you want, but I'm flossing. The Miz said I'm awesome, and I'm upholding the law just like the big boss man. With Mr. Main Event Brian Waters, the real Dwayne Allen, toss you over the border like Hernandez, Mandez, pressing the stands. It's the show for the intelligent wrestling fans. Hitman like Hawk, but I'm not from Calgary. I'm all about the bill, so let that gold dust shower me, empower me like Farouk and the nation. If you don't know your history, then you should change the station. But if you do, you can cruise to YouTube / the Wrestling Wrealm. Your lessons are stale. Say the same old lines, man, you destined to fail. Like the Shockmaster or the Wrestler Nails. I'm a heartbreak kid, and my bid to be champion is unmatched. Anybody step, I'm face planting them. With Mr. Main Event and the real Dwayne, you the sisters of love, we the powers of pain. You see we coming with a spear while you're monkey flipping. It's Brian Waters, Dwayne Allen, and your boy Trenton. And that's just how the story goes. That's just how the story goes. It's the Wrestling Wrealm, baby. The Wrestling Wrealm. Mr. Main Event Brian Waters, the real Dwayne Allen. And I'm your boy Trent CMG. You know what it is, baby. Let's go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Wrealm. He is the remarkable, the impeccable, the real Dwayne Allen. I am Mr. Main Event Brian Waters, and as promised, we are delivering you our favorite WrestleManias, ranked from 5 to 1. And on this episode, I will be giving you my second favorite WrestleMania.
That is right. WrestleMania. It's about that time. It's that season.
Oh yeah, definitely. The best time of the year. Before I go, I'm going to let you take a look at these highlights.
Check them out.
Yes, you have it. WrestleMania 18. I mean, it almost gets no bigger than this, you know. But let's go ahead, because obviously we know how dynamic this WrestleMania was and how much of a landmark right there in Toronto, Canada. We're going to start with RVD defeating William Regal. Thought this was a decent match. Good way to open up the card. William Regal was the IC champion going into this match. He would lose it to RVD. This is where, you know, obviously, where this is the first WrestleMania after the invasion. Mm-hmm. So this is RVD's debut. And, you know, it's good times to see him. Obviously, he was a face, you know. Making RVD heel at that time, even when he came in through the invasion angle, people just loved him.
Right.
You know, they absolutely loved him. So, you know, seeing him go out there and defeat Regal, I thought was a great way to open up the show.
Never a fan of William Regal.
Never?
Ever. Ever since I saw him squeeze the arms into the cup, and he was the real man's man, and I saw him like 2 weeks later on WCW with the robe on, I was like, I'm not a fan of this guy.
Well, I wasn't.
He's always bland. He's like mashed potatoes with no seasoning. That's what I think of William Regal. Like, he's really good in the ring. That's obvious. You know, he's really good. You know, he's worked with a lot of different guys. He's really good in the ring. But I've never cared. When he won King of the Ring that time, I just wanted to say that. I wanted people to know how I felt about William Regal.
Understandable. You know, next we have fellow Canadian Christian, well, not fellow, because obviously I'm not Canadian, but Canadian Christian. You know.
You really said fellow Canadian.
I know, right?
Yeah, I didn't know you were Canadian.
Oh, you know, we all got a little bit of Canadian in us. Great country.
Canadian bacon, that is.
Anyway, he going against DDP for the European Championship. This is when that title was, first of all, when it was around, and it was very relevant. You know, if you remember, going into this match, Christian was in a losing streak, and he was looking up to DDP as some sort of mentor. And DDP, you know, a lot of people didn't like because he was walking around with that smile.
That motivational speaker gimmick?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And he like,
that was funny.
Which, you know, which he'll be on Mike Knox's show, the Best Damn Show on Radio, in a couple weeks. So that'll be interesting. You know, he's going to be talking about his fantasy body updates. You know, obviously, he said he started wrestling at a later age, so he had to figure out a way to keep his body intact. And he's, you know, he's very fond of yoga. He follows us on Twitter. So if you're not following, follow him at DDP Yoga. But nonetheless, getting the chance to see him, you know, people always complain about the WCW guys not getting a proper run. You know, I mean, but the bottom line is, you know, we are right at the post-Attitude Era when they came in, but we still had a lot of stars. You know, you look at this card as we go down, there's a lot of stars. So, I mean, unfortunately, it wasn't a lot of room for everyone. You know. But
also, he's a little past his prime.
Exactly.
Like, it's harder when you got a wrestler that operates at such a very high level early in their career, and then when they transition to a different company, it's like if you don't see them in that same way that they were previously, which made them famous, a lot of people have a hard time with it. It doesn't matter what they do. Yeah, it's very few people that get away with that. Ric Flair being one of them, and even then, even when he first began, it took time for people to adjust. Ric Flair was a megastar. He was the main event and everything. Right. But then they had to adjust to him being just a regular wrestler. But he was that good that he was so good of a megastar that he could just be a regular wrestler even in his older age, when a lot of guys can't do that. So.
Certainly. You know, so he goes over, defeats Christian. So it's good to see, you know, for those who say WCW guys couldn't do nothing, WCW got win at WrestleMania. DDP, how about that? Winning at WrestleMania, winning at Starrcade. Which Christian would attack him. And it would lead up to him something that goes on later on in this night. Next we have Maven. For those who don't remember, he's the first Tough Enough winner.
Who? Sorry.
The school teacher.
I know Maven is.
You know, him and Goldust. Maven going in and winning as hardcore champion. And they fought to a no contest. But then if you remember, now excuse me for not remembering the exact order in which this happened. Maven leaves and he loses the title, and the hardcore title is pretty much defended throughout the whole pay-per-view.
Right, 24 hours.
Bingo. And which I thought was great because you have a 24/7 rule, so why not have it as a way to have it in between matches? So I thought that was good about this WrestleMania. Ultimately, at the end, Maven defeats, I think it was Christian was the last person he defeated, and as Christian was about to leave the arena, Maven defeats him and goes off and leaves with the title. Right. Next we have a match that a lot of people might not have cared about at the time, but I thought it was a good match, which was Kurt Angle and Kane. Here are two guys who, you know, Kurt Angle obviously, who was a main eventer, hasn't had his WrestleMania main event yet. As you know, this being 17, he was in a match with Benoit, his WrestleMania debut. He was in a match with Benoit and Jericho, which he lost both titles. So, he was a Eurocontinental champion.
That was great.
Yeah. So, you know, he finally, you know, him and Kane have their match. Unfortunately, it wasn't highlighted as much as it could have been. But, you know, this goes to show you how the professional that Kurt Angle was, where, you know, he didn't mind taking that back seat. You know, obviously, the main event was Jericho and Triple H, but the real main event was Rock and Hogan. So...
Oh, snap. It's literally right there, though. You guys can't... Can you see it? Can they see it?
Yeah, they should be able to. Adjust your sets. So, nonetheless, Kurt Angle defeats Kane in a solid wrestling match. Then we have a no disqualification match between, as JR kept calling him that night, Booger Red. For those who don't know, that was The Undertaker, taking on the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
That nickname never really stuck with The Undertaker, did it?
It I don't think it was meant to stick with him. It was just, if you remember, The Undertaker was this, he was a bully.
Oh, yeah.
Around this time. It was right after Vengeance, when I believe it was him and he beat RVD for the hardcore title. And he was just bullying everybody.
He was like, yeah, you step in my yard. And,
Yeah. So, you know, and him and Ric Flair, you know, Rick didn't want a match. He beat up Arn Anderson. He beat up David Flair. He went to the former WCW power plant.
Right.
And beat him up. So.
Not to mention Ric Flair bleed profusely as usual.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And then this is the first year, we obviously know who won. This is the first year where Undertaker started acknowledging the streak. Mm-hmm. If you remember, he goes like this, and then I'm saying the same person. Jerry Lawler said, 10-0, 10-0, you know. So, just 10 years later, will the Undertaker go 20-0? Time will tell.
I'm not touching that subject right now.
Right.
Not yet.
This next match was interesting. They fought over shampoo. Edge and Booker T. If you remember, it was a Japanese hair endorsement deal. You know, it's one of my second favorite WrestleMania.
Thank you, World Wrestling Entertainment. We appreciate that match.
It's WWE. It's like KFC, Kentucky Fried
Oh, no,
Chicken.
but see, my show, I can say whatever I want. So, like, WWE, that's nice. But at the time, it was World Wrestling Entertainment.
You have a point. You have a good point.
See, I'm very intricate like that. It's funny. It's funny.
But nonetheless, you know, Kane defeats, Edge defeats Booker T, which Edge will go on to be the only Canadian that night to win a match.
Sorry, Christian.
Or Trish.
Sorry, Trish.
This next match, Stone Cold versus Scott Hall. Scott Hall took one of the funniest Stone Cold stunners. If you notice, he takes the stunner and he's like has hang time like Michael Jordan when he bounces up, and he's like, and this is before he got all fat and sloppy. A lot of people said that it was supposed to be Austin and Hogan, but you know, they couldn't put their egos aside.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think Hogan and Rock was a better match.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you think about it, because Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't really the wrestler type. Not saying The Rock was, but he wasn't one to adjust everybody's style. Stunning Steve Austin was, you know, but that's another episode.
I actually enjoyed this match a lot. I'm a huge Scott Hall fan. I didn't like him as much as Razor Ramon.
For real?
Yeah, because I was younger and I was, you know, at those days it was all about, you know, Shawn Michaels and Big Daddy Cool. I wasn't a fan of him as much as Razor Ramon, and because he was always one of those bright colors. I was never a fan of bright colors. But then he went to WCW, came Scott Hall, red and black, black and white.
But Shawn Michaels wore teal green.
There's a reason he can do that, though, because he's Shawn Michaels. Can Razor Ramon do moonsaults off the back of ladders? I didn't think so. So what I was saying was, the thing is, I was always a huge Scott Hall fan, but he was so exclusive in my eyes because you never hardly saw him. Like, whenever you saw him, he wrestled a 3-minute match, or he was cutting a promo in the NWO. So it's like, you know, I didn't get to see him as much as I would have liked to, you know, as far as wrestling. Even when he left, when he came back to the WWE with this whole McMahon was sick of his own company, is going to end cancer thing. He was tripping. I don't know what that was about. I like the fact that Scott Hall had came back and stuff like that. And even when he went to TNA in about 2004, like when he first left WWE, and he was, you know, he was still pretty much in shape. He was still doing his thing. I think he was in a match with like R-Truth, and he had a couple of bouts with Jeff Jarrett. Huge fan of Scott Hall. So I actually enjoyed this match, and I was a little upset about, you know, the stipulation where, you know, if he lost, he was out.
Yeah.
But naturally, you know, it's, you know, Scott Hall's situation and, you know, whatever he was dealing with at the time, the schedule was too much for him, or whatever the case may be. So I actually enjoyed this. I just, you know.